My dad yelled at me, saying I wasn't welcome in our house anymore. John, my future husband, backed me up. I left home crying right after finishing high school. My name's Amy, now 36 and a farmer. It's been 18 years since I left home. It's hitting me that I've spent more time away than there. I grew up in the city, with my dad working in an office and mom staying home. It was me, my older brother, and our parents. My parents favored my brother, who was older. He always got better stuff and attention. He'd brag about it, believing he was better. I'd often felt lonely and wished for some attention, but my parents never changed. I gave up trying. The turning point came in high school when my brother struggled with his exams. He'd take out his frustration on me all the time. My parents treated my brother delicately, while giving me all the household chores, leaving me no time to study. They even tried to lower my grades to make my brother feel better, even though I was doing better in school. It didn't make any sense. Then I heard about a rural program from a teacher at school. It was a 2-night, 3-day trip where students could experience farm life. Despite my parents' objections, saying farming was only for fools who couldn't get corporate jobs, I bravely signed up, using my own saved pocket money. It was the first time I stood up to my parents, and it turned out to be the right decision. Working on the farm was refreshing, and I felt the warmth of a family there. John, the eldest son of the family hosting us, was kind and different from my brother. His parents were gentle too. After the program ended, I promised to come back. They didn't use phones much, so I wrote them letters regularly, feeling a connection I never had at home. Soon John and I began exchanging letters regularly, almost like a diary. Our connection grew, and we started dating, despite never even sharing a kiss. It was a pure long-distance relationship. Meanwhile, my brother's failure to get into his preferred university landed him in a lesser college. I, on the other hand, aimed for college, but my parents pressured me to work instead, claiming women didn't need education. But I suspected they just didn't want me to surpass my brother. Since the rural program, I dreamt of being a farmer. While I could have pursued farming without college, John was in the city, pursuing his studies. So I decided to attend college, aiming for a different kind of farming. With a clear goal in mind, I dedicated myself to studying every day. Despite my parents' and brother's interference, I passed the university entrance exam. But my father was furious, asking if I, a woman, planned to outdo my brother. My mother echoed, saying they couldn't afford my education, as my brother needed the money. Their words left me devastated, and after a big fight, I cut ties with them. John, now my husband-to-be, and his parents supported my college expenses, and I attended college. 4 years later, I married John without ever contacting my parents or brother during college. However, when my in-laws insisted we inform my family about the marriage, we visited my childhood home for the first time in 4 years. It was a busy time, with planting season in full swing, so we couldn't visit until early summer. All of us, including my in-laws, husband, and myself, had tanned faces from working outdoors. My parents and brother openly mocked us. My mother, with a hint of condescension, asked how old we were, assuming we must be poor to have such dark tans from working. I felt mortified and begged her to stop, but she ignored me. My brother added insult to injury, boasting about making money through intellectual work and implying that farming was beneath us. I felt my face drain of color as my in-laws' smiles faltered. But my husband stood his ground, proudly declaring our profession as farmers. In response, my father laughed mockingly, declaring me a stranger from that moment on. He made it clear that marrying a farmer meant I was no longer welcome in their lives. They warned me not to come asking for money and stated they wanted nothing to do with me anymore. Having been disowned at 18, I knew I was on my own, even without being explicitly told again. Yet I still tried to maintain some courtesy, though the sympathetic looks from my in-laws and John were hard to bear. Quietly weeping on the way home, I resolved to forget about my biological family. Time passed quickly, and 18 years flew by. The emotional wounds healed, and I became a mother of two, leading busy but fulfilling days. Though I had virtually erased memories of my parents and brother, a cousin informed me of my brother's upcoming wedding. Despite our estrangement, my cousin and I stayed close, occasionally chatting on the phone and maintaining a relationship. They mentioned we could meet at the wedding, but I hadn't heard anything about it from my parents or brother. Since we were estranged, I had no way of knowing. I learned they were building a new duplex and wondered if it was completed. Apparently, both my parents and my brother and his wife planned to move in. After the wedding, my cousin, aware of the estrangement between my parents and me, assumed I'd still attend family events like weddings and funerals. Feeling impulsive, I decided to call my mother's cell phone, only to hear an automated message saying the number was no longer in use. The same went for my father's number. Unable to reach my brother because I didn't have his number, I nervously dialed the landline for our family home. To my surprise, it connected. "Hello?" It was my brother who answered. "Brother, it's Amy. I heard you're getting married and moving." I trailed off, about to offer my congratulations when he interrupted me. "There's no need for you to do anything. You're just a farmer, a stranger to me. Don't call me." With that, he yelled and hung up the phone. I rushed to call him back, only to discover I was already blocked. It was a harsh reality. No matter how much he despised me, we were still family. It hurt deeply to be rejected like this. Seeing my distress, my husband grew concerned and gently asked what was wrong. Unable to hold back my tears any longer, I recounted the conversation to him. Both my husband and in-laws were furious, reacting as if the rejection had happened to them. "Your home is here, Amy. Your family is us," reassured my mother-in-law, her words bringing tears to my eyes. I wished she were my real mom. She cared for me more than my biological mother ever did. My father-in-law added his comforting words, saying, "You're happy now, and that's all that matters. No need to get hurt. The one who laughs is the winner." My husband chimed in, suggesting we take them as a bad example and ensure we don't turn out like that. Even our children, unaware of the situation, hugged me tightly. "Thank you, everyone," I said, feeling a warmth in my heart. I realized how happy I was now, even without the support of a loving biological family. However, things took a drastic turn when my business was featured on national television. My in-laws were originally large-scale grain farmers in the American Midwest, also growing a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. But much of their produce didn't meet the standards. Studying food business in college, I devoted time to figuring out how to sell all the produce without waste. I launched an online business selling jams, juices, and pickles made from slightly damaged fruits and vegetables that couldn't be sold otherwise. With the backing of the local farmers union, my business became a huge success. It appealed to moms wanting safe, domestically produced food for their children, as well as seniors yearning for nostalgic homemade pickles. I built the company with other young women who, like me, had married into farming families, along with unemployed young people. In time, it grew into a $5 million business, and our success story caught the attention of the media, leading to an in-depth report. After the TV broadcast, we were inundated with calls, including business transactions and interview requests. When an unknown number called, I answered without much thought, only to find it was my brother. I guessed he must have seen the national television coverage of my success. Barely exchanging greetings, he abruptly asked for money, saying he wanted to start a business. My immediate response was a firm no, and I hung up, feeling a stronger version of my initial rejection. Yet he persisted, insisting that if I, a simple farmer, could succeed, then he was bound to as well. His attitude baffled me, especially since he had previously treated me as a stranger. I didn't engage with his demands and instead questioned why I wasn't informed about the family's move. Turns out it was his wife, whom I'd never met, who made the decision. She suggested cutting ties the moment my name was mentioned. Realizing the similarity in character between my brother's wife and my parents, I decided to end the conversation and block his number. It struck me that if my brother saw me on TV, it likely meant my parents had too. A few hours later, another call came in from an unknown number, which turned out to be my father. He demanded to know why I was the boss, insinuating I had stolen a man's job. I explained that both John and my father-in-law were involved in the farming business, so it made sense. Large-scale consolidation had become advantageous, and my father-in-law was the president of the local agricultural association, while John was the president of our corporation. Perhaps my explanation convinced him, as he then asked why I hadn't contacted them. I was dumbfounded by his question, reminding him that they had disowned me. I promptly hung up and blocked his number. Shortly after, my mother called, demanding money, claiming I made $500 million a year and accusing me of forgetting all the favors they'd done for me. I clarified that the business revenue was after expenses and salaries, that she didn't believe me, insisting I was lying. Irritated, I refused to send money, stating that we were strangers now, and blocked her number too. I thought that would be the end of it, but I was mistaken. My parents, brother, and his wife, whom I had never met, showed up uninvited at my in-laws' house. My father announced that he was revoking the disownement, shocking me with their desperation for money. Even my in-laws expressed discomfort, glaring at my parents in silence, and the employees around us looked stunned. Despite their intrusion, my brother insisted that as the real family, they had a right to my earnings. His wife nodded in agreement. I was furious. I rejected their claim, pointing out that despite our blood connection, there was no emotional bond. They had treated me like a stranger and abandoned me. The emotional wounds from being abandoned by my biological family resurfaced, and I was on the brink of tears once more. But in that moment, John stood beside me, defending me fiercely. He declared that I was now part of their family, and that they were perfectly happy without my parents disowning me. The employees echoed his sentiments, criticizing my parents in unison. Feeling a sense of belonging, I was profoundly happy. However, my brother became angry, insulting the employees as low-educated trash and demanding their obedience. But John calmly revealed our educational backgrounds, surprising my brother. Despite graduating from top universities, my brother couldn't comprehend why we chose farming. But John asserted that farming is a respectable profession where we can apply our college education effectively. I couldn't help but laugh at the scene, feeling relieved that my brother had lost to John in every aspect. I made it clear once more that we were already strangers, unable to lend or give money to them. With a polite tone, I asked them to leave, warning of legal action if they caused trouble. My in-laws and husband stood by me, protecting me from harm. Deeply moved by their support, I felt truly cherished. The employees joined in, urging my family to leave. Despite their resentful glares, they had no choice but to retreat. Later, I learned from my cousin that my family had attempted to get rich quick with a business venture, which led to failure and possibly bankruptcy. But as a stranger now, I had no intention of getting involved. My life was going well, surrounded by a loving husband, respectable in-laws, and adorable children. Each day, I cherished the happiness of life, grateful for the